Okay, hello everyone. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. The Lord did not tell me to particularly do this video, but I asked him permission to, and he said yes. And he is not requiring me to show my face, and I don't feel like coming on camera right now. So you can just listen. This should be a brief video. I'm sure if you're paying attention, you've noticed that everyone is covering on YouTube everyone is covering the topic of the DoD Directive that went into effect September 27th, 2024. This directive basically, and I've shared 2 videos covering it on the community page already, including Richie from Boston's video on his Jailbreak Overlander channel, the only channel he has left. And he made an interesting point, and I just saw someone else pop up in my thread, and they put something in their title, which is a confirmation of what the Lord was telling me. And I know there's keywords I'm not supposed to say, but we'll see how I can do with that. But basically, here's just what I want to say. Here's what God's ministering to me about it, okay? Now, recently I came on here and I explained about how I had that dream in 2019 about having the male child baby that was 2 years old. Later on this year in December, I'm going to be doing a timeline teaching of where we're at in the timeline of the end days. But what the Lord has told me and what I have on the timeline is that the 2 witnesses, as of September of 2024, they have already been in their ministry 2 years. Okay, the 2 witnesses are the male child. And what the Lord ministered to me is that is when the 2 witnesses officially began being hunted, so to speak, just as King Herod hunted down all of the 2-year-old babies to kill them. Okay? And the Lord just put this together for me. He just ministered this to me. So as of September 27th, 2024, and you know, this is, I've only become aware of this in the last, day or 2, when people are covering it on YouTube, but he had me come on here and start dropping hints, planting seeds. He had me start prophesying, and he definitely had me put it into the timeline that as of September of 2024, the 2 witnesses were already 2 years into their ministry. And some of them don't even realize that they're the 2 witnesses yet, but that they are starting to emerge, and that they would be officially starting to be being hunted. Well, this is what the Lord just ministered to me. Okay, so let me get my thoughts here. So Richie from Boston, when he covered it, again, I just shared that video on the community page, he pointed out something interesting, that in the legalese verbiage that they have in there of this DoD directive, part of it says on unmanned something or other, okay? And what he said, he coined the term predator drones. And this is something that the Lord revealed to me a while back, and I shared on here a while back, but they have drones. There are drones that exist that are big enough and strong enough that they could actually swoop down like a bird of prey and grab someone by their shoulders and lift them up off the ground. And therefore, theoretically, they could, like, pick someone up and drop them over a cliff or something, okay? Now, whether or not they're going to be arming these drones with whatever, you know, that, I'm sure they can do that. I'm sure they have that. But what the Lord just ministered to me is that this coincides with what he told me, which is that King Herod would start hunting down the 2-year-old babies, which is the 2 witnesses. And all of a sudden, this DoD directive is now surfacing that it became effective September 27th, 2024, that basically what we would call Shoal law has been authorized here in Babylon. So if you still think that we're not about to enter the Great Tribulation, you need to wake up. Again, the Great Tribulation commences Passover 2025. And if you've been if you've been paying attention, you should start to notice that there's a lot of timelines that are lining up right around the beginning of the Great Tribulation. There's a lot of timelines that seem to be lining up for 2025 in general, that seem to be lining up for around April, May, maybe even June of 2025. There's a lot of timelines. Okay, even, I just, Lord, do you want me to get into that right now? I even just watched a video today where someone was mentioning how the timeline for some of these migrants that are getting all this free stuff, that's supposed to come to an end somewhere around there, somewhere around like April, May, June-ish. And then I don't know what happens from there, but it's right at the beginning of the Great Tribulation. And there's other things I've been noticing that I can't think of right now. I'm not recalling right now that line up with that timeline as well. Okay. About a month prior here in the USA in Babylon, the bank lending program expires, which means all of these banks that have been putting off, kicking the can down the road, becoming insolvent, they're finally going to become insolvent. You're going to see a whole crap ton of banks here in Babylon, in the USA, go bankrupt, go under, about a month out from the Great Tribulation commencing, about a month prior to Passover of 2025. So I just thought I would come on here and just put all this together for you. The two witnesses have been in their ministry for over 2 years now, and they officially were authorized to start being hunted in September of 2024, and the Lord just told me that this DoD directive, that's exactly what that is. That's exactly what that is. Where lethal force is authorized by the government of Babylon, the government of the USA, upon civilians. And whether it's just or not, it's not going to be just. And you know what's interesting is the Lord had me start privately declaring and decreeing back at the end of 2022 that there would be no more justice here in the United States of America. And more we're seeing these videos pop up on YouTube of these incidences happening with the police, of how they are harassing people, of how they are twisting the law, of how they are arresting people really when they shouldn't. Okay, there's all kinds of injustices happening here in the USA, the land of supposedly the free. Babylon has fallen, America, if you're not aware, and you are Babylon, America. So I just wanted to put all this together for you, to give you something, to give you some perspective as to where we're at in the timeline, what's going on, how prophecy is being fulfilled, how scripture is being fulfilled. And yes, let me circle back to, okay, Revelation 12. Everyone loves to obsess over Revelation 12. The woman, the Church of Philadelphia, the bride, she gives birth to the man-child. The man-child is the two witnesses. The two witnesses have been in their ministry. They hit their 2-year mark of their ministry in September. Their ministry officially started September of 2022. They were about 2 years into their ministry, September of 2024. And at the end of September 2024, September 27th, is when this DoD directive went into effect. That is the equivalent of the analogies given us in Scripture of Herod hunting down the 2-year-old babies, just as he did in Scripture when he was trying to hunt down the Messiah. What people don't realize, and I'm going to be going over this when I go over the timeline, but I feel led to just go into it now. I came on here and God had me explain about the whole birthing process, about how the baby has to first get into position. That began in 2017. Everyone's got all these timelines way off. It takes time for the baby to get into position, for the baby to put its head down and get its spine in alignment with the mother's spine. That began in 2017, which me personally makes sense to me as to why I went through hell in 2017, because I was getting into position. The Lord was orchestrating the circumstances in my life to prune me, to purge me, to humble me, to force me into a decision of, okay, am I going to surrender to God, or am I going to keep trying to do things my way in accordance with the world, conforming to the world's ways? Because I was in a backslidden state. I had been coming around more and more, but it wasn't enough yet. And the Lord put me and I believe others that were ordained to be part of the two witnesses. He put them through hell in 2017. And I would love to hear your testimony. If you went through hell in 2017, please share it in the comments or shoot me an email. That's when the baby began getting into position. And these things take time. But I'm telling you right now, the two witnesses, they reached 2 years into their ministry in September of 2024. And the hunt is now on. The hunt is now officially on. I think that's all I feel led to share right now. I've given you plenty of meat to chew on in your prayer closet, and I hope you do. If you have curious questions, you are welcome to reach out in the comments or via email, and when I am able to respond, I will. I promise. Again, I'll be doing the timeline teaching this coming December of 2024, and you will be able to download a copy of it if you so choose. I bless you all in the name of Yeshua, the Christ of Nazareth.